So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where the old empire comes into the modern world. Now you might be asking yourself, what is the old empire? First of all, you're uncultured, and second of all, it is a fictional country from my What If Civilization Started Over series. If you don't know what that is, then you must be new here, because how do you not know what that is? Basically, it's the strongest country in that series at this very time, and with it being in a world war and the future being uncertain, I think it's about appropriate that we just go ahead and bring it to the modern world and see what exactly happens with it. This has been a very highly requested video idea, so I figured it's time to give in and finally do it, because, you know, why not? Now, taking a look at this monstrosity here, we can see that it is a little huge and probably overpowered. It includes countries like Turkey, Egypt, Greece, Iran, Saudi Arabia. It has Israel in it. It's got Israel, Oman, the UAE, most of Bulgaria, southern Ukraine, southern Russia. This thing has a lot of very valuable land and is well, ridiculously strong both in this scenario and in the actual Wixo series. So if you guys do enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. All the support is greatly appreciated as we're trying to reach 200,000 subscribers. Big shout out to Zaylance for making this map. He is one of our channel members. If you want to join that, you can also join that. And I'm going to yap about college real quick. So if you don't want to hear anything about my college schedule and what I'm about to do, go ahead, skip ahead in the video a little bit. Basically, this is going to be one of 14 pre-recorded videos. Now, when you're seeing this, I'm still home. And when you see Saturday's video, I'm also still home. But next Wednesday's video, I will be back at college for the spring semester. And yes, I'm pre-recording 14 videos. Now, originally I was going to do 16. I decided that instead of, burning myself out and pushing myself too far and trying to do 16 videos in 6 days, we're going to cut it down by 2 and do 14 videos. I'm going to be doing 2 Wixo movies, which are just the recaps of the early episodes. Instead of some Wixo videos on the upcoming Saturday videos after World War III finishes in that series. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pre-record all 14 videos because I still have to do a research essay for my winter course in college. So yeah, and there's also only 6 days left and I have to still pack all my stuff up for college and actually drive back there and move back into my dorm. So it's a lot between now and then, and it's gonna be really busy for me, plus I'm hanging out with a bunch of friends before I go back. So my schedule is cooked, and pre-recording 14 videos seems really hard to do, but I'm gonna try to pump out as many as I can today on Monday. But yeah, pray for me. I'm probably cooked, but I will let you guys know any more updates. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to the video. And also keep posted on the community post tab. I do post a lot of updates there. Anyway, all right, so the old empire has made its way into the modern world. This is weird. This thing is huge. One of the largest countries in the world, one of the most powerful countries in the world, and also one of the most diverse countries in the world, spanning all the way from Persia up into southern Ukraine, down into Central Africa, and over into Sicily and the Italian peninsula. There's a chance that I am missing out on some land of theirs because they're so freaking huge. Yeah, right here, boom. There's even more. It goes all the way down to the Horn of Africa as well. So the modern world, how would they react to this? Well, probably a coalition and just trying to destroy it, but assuming that they have all of the modern armies and all the modern equipment of the countries which they are presiding over, this is probably either the 4th, maybe 5th strongest country in the world, and they have blood on their mind because it's the old empire, they're really expansive. Almost immediately, they will send troops into the rest of Iran, which does somehow exist, but not anymore, and they will annex it straight into their puppet state. No one really bats an eye at this because Iran was basically not even there. Similar moves will happen into the remainder of Turkmenistan as they take any land that remains from them. They will move into the remainder of Egypt, and that is that. Now, they do have their puppet states with them, and I was debating whether or not to keep those puppet states. They are a part of the old empire, but they're not like the core land of the old empire. So I was debating whether or not I should leave them in or not, but it's fine. We'll leave them in. So now that the old empire is here, it's probably going to face a lot of coalitions. Over here in the east, we see China, Kyrgyzstan, Afghanistan, and Pakistan form a defensive alliance against the old empire aimed at stopping any eastward expansion on their part. So this blocks them from going anywhere near China. Of course, they could still go after the rest of Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, or could they? Because they just formed the coalition / defensive pact with Russia. And I do apologize for the map being kind of weird. That's out of my control. Okay, so the old empire is now blocked from going north as well, which means that they have Europe and they have Africa. And well, it looks like they're going to go after the Balkans in Europe. So first they go after Bulgaria. They are split in half and barely exist. They are very easily ran over. And then they go after Albania, moving up into Kosovo and then into Serbia. They already have Serbia's capital under their control, I think. So that's relatively easy as they sweep through the country, moving to the north. They then refocus their armies to go westward, pushing into Montenegro in a very effective campaign up the coastal areas, then taking any coastal access that Bosnia has, and they actually really don't. But this map doesn't have all of Croatia down here for some reason. And from here we see their entrance into Bosnia, and there was no resistance here because the old empire is very strong. And yeah, that is that. And in this peace treaty here, we can see that the old empire is doing its best Ottoman Empire impression. They are taking over the southern Balkans, and unrelated to that, they also make a puppet state up here between Serbia and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Not too sure how that would work out. It would probably be a mess, as we know from Yugoslavia, but it's the old empire, so they're probably going to garrison it and force assimilation into their own culture, which honestly have no idea what that would be. Realistically, of course, this nation would be probably Islamic, considering that most countries within it are Islamic. But you also have a little bit of Russia and Ukraine, as well as the southern Balkans and Italy, so you have, of course, your Eastern Orthodox Christianity, and then some Catholicism over here in the Italian peninsula. But then again, you know, every country has different culture, so I'm not sure what the majority host state would be in this scenario. I guess maybe Turkey or maybe Iran. No, well, realistically in the old empire would be Iraq, because that's like where their capital is. But you could also make a good case for Saudi Arabia or even Oman to an extent. You have to know your Wixo history to really think about that one. But anyway, what does the old empire do now? Well, in the Wixo series, they can't really expand anymore because they would collapse, probably. So in the Wixo series, the old empire can't really do too much expansion because they are already so big, and because if I made them any bigger, people would start to complain. But here, it's a little bit different. This is obviously a fictional scenario. Well, the Wixo series is also fictional, but this is even more fictional. So let's go ahead and take off that limitation on their expansion, huh? The old empire will now declare war on both Sudan and Chad in hopes of expanding their African territory. And in this campaign, we see the old empire first take out the northern sector of Chad. I don't think there's really anything there. But from there, they go ahead and get all of the coastal areas of Sudan that remain, and then start a sweeping campaign throughout the whole country. And both of these guys are crippled from their already lost lands to the old empire, so it goes relatively quickly, with Chad surrendering first, followed by Sudan. And in this peace treaty here, we can see exactly what the old empire decides to do with this land. They will completely annex this part of Sudan over here, going straight towards their core territory and connecting them up better with the Horn of Africa area. And from there, they will go ahead and take their already kind of small puppet state and make it huge. They will do a complete combined state between all of Chad and Sudan. I don't know how that would mix realistically, but it's, once again, the old empire. They're just going to force everyone to assimilate. And here we go. We have a new ginormous puppet state for the old empire down here in Africa. And it's at the point now where the old empire is way too big to really exist. And I think a few countries would probably agree with me. A new coalition will form of North Africa against the expanding old empire. These are also majority Islamic nations, so this is kind of like a rebellion against the old empire in a way, because of course their aggressive expansion has already taken out Sudan, and it shows that the old empire doesn't care what you are or who you are, we just want your land. So these guys will band together in hopes of reclaiming some of the lost land, and now there are 3 major coalitions against the old empire. No deal though, we will now move elsewhere, specifically into Somalia, Ethiopia, and all that remains of Eritrea. Now, I'm gonna give you guys some education. I have been saying this a lot recently actually, but Somalia is it's the definition of a failed state. This is some of that college knowledge I got for you. Somalia doesn't really have a government that functions and controls all of its core territory, which is why you get debates about things like Somaliland, which does function under its own government. However, it lacks all of the external recognition that it needs to be considered a country, similar to Kosovo. You know, in Kosovo, it has its own government, it functions, it has its own culture, a completely different religion from Serbia, different ethnicity. However, it just doesn't get recognized by any country in the United Nations. Therefore, you can't call it 100% a country because it's not recognized as such. Although it is a nation, the nation of Kosovo, it's just not technically a state, even though it functions as a state. It's a stateless nation, I guess you could say. Whereas Somaliland is a nationless state. There's a lot of different groups of people within this thing, and they don't really collide well together, and thus a functioning government cannot exist. A little bit different for Ethiopia though, although they are kind of dealing with Eritrea, They function a little bit better, but at the same time, in comparison to the old empire, on the other hand, just go ahead and surrender. And that's exactly what they do. So let's take a look at this peace treaty. All right, and in this peace treaty here, we can see exactly how the old empire goes about dividing up both Ethiopia and Somalia, as well as whatever remained of Eritrea. So firstly, of course, they will annex all of this dark purple territory into their own nation, and that would look something like this. As for the rest, which is a majority of Ethiopia and a little bit of Somalia, they will combine them into one nation, which will look something like this. They have access to the ocean should they need it. But the old empire now is even bigger, and their puppet states are rapidly expanding as well. Good God. Yet another massive coalition forms against the old empire. I keep calling them coalitions, but they're not coalitions. They're defensive pacts aimed at deterring the old empire from expanding any further. So now a southern African one forms between all of the most powerful countries in this region, including South Africa, Angola, the DRC, and Tanzania, as well as Kenya. So goodbye Africa for the old empire. No more expanding there for you. But there still is one front that remains, and that is in Europe. And you can go ahead and bet money on the fact that the old empire would take advantage of this and go ahead and invade some of these countries, going into the southern Balkans. And it is here that they will attempt to finally form the Ottoman Empire, because that's definitely their goal. Not really, but they might as well call themselves that. I mean, they look really similar to the Ottomans, just without a little bit of stuff here and a little bit too much stuff over here and down here. But you guys get the vision. Anyway, their invasion of Europe, very quick, very easy. And in this peace treaty, it keeps getting more and more interesting. So the old empire will annex all of the coastal areas in the Adriatic Sea of Croatia and Slovenia. They will also annex a good portion of Romania, which will look something like this. And as for their puppet states, they will go ahead and add all of the rest of Croatia and Slovenia into the Yugoslav puppet state, and they will keep Hungary and Romania separate, although it would be really funny to do like a reverse Transylvania. Actually, nah, screw it. Hungary annexes the rest of Romania, forming Big Hungary. Awesome. Not so awesome. The fifth coalition forms against the old empire. They now have 5 major alliances, which are all aimed at just stopping their expansion. That is insane. In addition to that, we also see Belarus join up in Russia's pact. And yeah, this is what the world map is looking like at this point. If you didn't know what was happening here, and you didn't know anything about history, or I guess the old empire in this case, you would probably be very confused and concerned. And even if you did know history in the old empire, you would probably still be confused. So yeah, 5 major coalitions formed against the old empire, and with them having nowhere else to really go, I think it's pretty obvious what happens next. They all 5 declare war on the old empire at the same time in hopes of ending their shenanigans. And now we get the answer to the most asked question in the Wixo series: does the old empire have plot armor? In my opinion, no, because they're kind of like the main character country in a way. But we'll see here. So the orange team will move first. This is where the old empire was most recently active, so their troops don't go very far at all. However, where we see troops do go far is in southern Africa, where the old empire has, of course, moved most of their troops to Europe in their most recent invasion of the Balkan area, meaning that the puppet state of Ethiopia is very rapidly and quickly invaded and taken back, and advances are made into both Chad and Sudan, or I guess this whatever weird puppet state this is. In Central Asia, over here where Russia is at, as well as China, we see troops move into what would be Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan, as well into the Caucasian region, going into Ukraine and southern Russia. It is here that we also see the orange team take the rest of the Ukrainian area. This sparks a little bit of debate between the orange and the blue team. Over here we have the red team taking over all of the Iranian puppet state with a lot of ease. This is a big loss for the old empire because it neutralizes a lot of their defenses, but the red team will then push on over. Now, we are making an assumption here that all of the major contributors in each of these alliances already have their troops on the front line. So Russia has all of their troops ready to go in both of these front lines. China has all their troops ready to go over here. South Africa has all their troops ready to go up here. That is the assumption that we are making, because otherwise this video would probably be a little bit too long. In Africa, the yellow team will now exert itself into the purple team, aka the old empire. I just sometimes call it the purple team, which might throw people off because there is an actual purple team in the Wixo series that isn't the old empire and is also really important. So I should probably stop calling it the purple team sometimes and just call it what it is, the old empire. Anyway, the orange team is once again invading. They are facing the most old Empyrean troops, so they are going the slowest. Whereas in fronts like in southern Africa, this is going a lot faster as the old empire is vastly run back by the sheer amount of manpower in these regions. The blue team was also very successful as they focused on the Caspian Sea area and into the Caucasian region, seizing very important oil fields, which the old empire needs to even have a chance in this war. But with those gone, it's not looking too good for them. In Europe, the orange team will have a very good campaign into Italy, taking over the entire Boot as well as Sicily and Malta, which allows them to refocus on the capturing of the rest of the Balkan area. And with old Imperial troops still there, it is a little bit complicated. However, they are able to make a landing in Albania and start a push out from there, which will serve as a huge distraction and a huge issue for the old empire. One thing leads to another, and they're able to kind of sweep down the coast over here in the Adriatic, and now the old empire is on the retreat. In Africa, we see the yellow team push over and capture the major Egyptian cities like Alexandria. With that, they also reach over to the Suez Canal and take it from the old empire, cutting them off land-wise from their African claims, which leads to a very large sweeping effort throughout Egypt and Sudan by the yellow team, which is also followed up by the green team, who does an even larger sweep of the rest of their puppet state, going into the remaining areas of Egypt. Okay, so the old empire is getting its butt kicked, and realistically so. This is basically Europe, Asia, and Africa versus the old empire, and let's be real here, that they're cooked. They do have a huge geographical advantage, you know, the mountains over here to their east, they have the Suez Canal to their west, blocking them from Africa, and then they have, of course, the strait right here, whatever it is called, I don't know, where Istanbul is. They have that to their advantage as well, blocking off land invasions, even the Caucasus Mountains, actually. So the old empire, believe it or not, even in the Wixo series, they have a huge geographical advantage in terms of defense, but the sheer numbers here are a little bit too much for them. If you're ever curious on how the old empire would fare up against the modern world, here you go. They would probably get a coalition formed against them, as you saw here, and then they would proceed to get absolutely swept because they simply don't have enough to fight back against the world. So yeah, the red team and the blue team are making excellent strides. These are the front lines, of course, with the most manpower in them. Having China and Pakistan on the same team, that's a lot of troops. Then we have Russia, who we of course know is known for throwing people into wars and using them as meat shields and stuff like that. And then you have the combined force of Africa on two different coalitions. So yeah, we did see the yellow team move into the Israeli area. This is a huge loss strategically for the old empire. We also see the green team move up into Yemen, moving over into Oman and parts of Saudi Arabia. The orange team makes its way into Europe, taking over the western part of Turkey. And after a few more days of fighting, Russia will capture the capital of the old empire, basically leading to its defeat. They lost all of their important areas down south to the green team in the Holy City area. They'll lose all of the Turkish peninsula to the orange team, and the red team will deal the final blow, sweeping through the Gulf area and taking over any important remaining remnants of the old empire, leading to its complete and utter defeat. Who gets the kill though? Actually, I'm not sure. I guess we'll give it to Russia since they captured the capital. All right, so they got folded pretty easily. Realistically, we all saw that coming. I'm not going to do a peace treaty because, I mean, you can make a guess as what the peace treaty would look like. All right, and this is our peace treaty. So, yeah, goodbye, old empire. Hello, everyone else. That was pretty simple, right? I told you. I don't need to make one. But the old empire gets folded here, and yeah, so if the old empire came to real life, unless it was under certain circumstances, they would almost definitely get invaded and split into the modern day country map, which is, of course, what I just showed you. So, yeah, there we go. But yeah, this was a fun video idea. Definitely think that this was a long time coming. You know, I've seen the suggestions for a few months now, and the Wixo series has gotten more popular, so it was only a matter of time. But yeah, leave all of your suggestions and input in the comments. Suggestions are really useful, although me asking you now is probably useless because I still have the other, you know, 7 videos to record that are Wednesday videos. Actually, I think it's more than 7. It's about 8. So yeah, that's a lot of Wednesday videos, and that's a lot of suggestions and ideas that I don't have in my head. But your input is still appreciated nonetheless. Make sure to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Once again, trying to get to 200,000 subscribers. And I will see you guys in the next video. And of course, thank you to all our super fans. This includes America and Canada and UK, Freezioid, Godzilla Bro, Zaylance, Unknown TD, Georgie Badev, Servernator, Johnny XX7, King Cheese, GD Cilia, Pablo Sigma Cat, Death Strider X, Hammer Toad 45, Connor the Gamer, Nevada Garbage Trucks, and DW Cool Dude. Once again, thank you guys.